And welcome everyone to this week in Svelte. And in this unusually early this week in Svelte, I am Paolo. I will be your host for today. And today it's an exciting episode because we have a community showcase. I always love when there is a community showcase because I love to see new libraries, new stuff, and stuff like that. And I'm pretty excited about the one that we are about to present. But before we begin, the agenda is the usual. So let's start with the changelog, and actually the changelog. I just realized I'm mirrored. So let's start with the changelog and let's see what our maintainers were up to this week. So a bunch of bug fixes. So room-like writable is a prop. Some fixes. This was it's super fun. I actually worked on this. And I actually discovered something that I didn't knew, and it might be cool for you to see. So let me open up. I can show you in Svelte 5 preview, maybe. Yeah, I don't want to show, but basically, the idea is that I don't know if you ever work with array last index of, but apparently, if you do something like this. 0, 1, 2, 3 dot last index of 2, and let's console.log this. So if you go like this, you see that there's a missing last index of is 2. But you might not know that you can also specify a second parameter of last index, which is from which index you want to find the last index of. So in this case, for example, let's say that you want to start from the third index. It should maybe from the 1st index. I don't know. Yeah, if I do this, for example, this is only searching from the index 1 and below. And this means that it is not finding 2. And you may think that passing 1 or passing nothing or passing undefined is the same, but it's not actually true. So, yeah, but if you pass undefined, it's actually not the same as not passing it, probably because inside is using something like arguments.length, which, by the way, if you didn't know, is if you are inside a function, so my fn, and you console log arguments.length, you can know how many arguments are being passed to your function. And please never do this because so if I do this, this should log 0. Exactly. And if I do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, this should log 4. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, it's very brittle. Never do this. But probably they are doing something like this internally, and that's why it was failing in Svelte. So yeah, fun fact. We also now can handle the this parameter in TypeScript. This is also another interesting thing. Again, I don't know if you TypeScript playground. So let's say that if you have a function, you can actually specify what your these should look like in TypeScript by doing this and then specifying the shape. So this, I don't know, obj it's equal to Boolean. And if you do this, and then you have extra parameters like, I don't know, param, which is a string. This function, you can actually just call this function with a string. So it has a single parameter. This is complaining because this is not of type, but it's fine. Let's ignore that for a moment, because the important bit is that this function actually has only one parameter, but inside this function, if you do this dot, you actually get a typed experience for the this. And this was not this is one of those features that are in TypeScript, but not exactly in Svelte, because like it's a very specific thing of TypeScript, and Svelte under the hood is only like removing the types and getting the type information. But they special cased it because it's actually a valid syntax, and it's good. So now you can type your Ds in Svelte. Allow classes to be reassigned, capture the correct event names when spreading attributes, allow global next next to the ampersand for nesting. Other event things. And this is also interesting because the current focus of Svelte 5 is make SSR and hydration as fast as possible. So they are trying to push, like they removed push and pop in SSR component when they are not necessary. So provide a component type that represent the new shape of Svelte component. This was actually something that was an issue because like now in Svelte 5 components are functions, and in Svelte 4 components are classes, and it was quite difficult to figure out because obviously if you are using a Svelte 4 component, they might have a .d.ts that expose a component, so you could do new component. But if you're using that in a Svelte 5, then it will be rendered with Svelte 5, so it will be a function. So it was pretty complex, but Simon actually, like maintainers actually figured it out, and now you can use the component type. There was a memory leak that was discovered, and again, thank you for like everybody that is like using Svelte 5 in production and reporting issues like that, because this was a pretty tricky memory leak that Dominic promptly solved, but like it was a mistake, and people like you that are watching this and that are using Svelte 5 in production can report so that Svelte 5 is the best when will be actually released. Correct scope for const tag within slots, better support for on-wheel event. The infinite loop guard was like kind of incoherent with a couple of things, like stupid bugs. This is also, I think, very, very interesting. I was looking into this. Make prop fallback deeply reactive if needed. So this was something that was reported like this. So if you have something like min, max, and value with a bindable that has an array, like an array or an object as a default value, this was not deeply reactive. So now they actually fixed it. So if a property is mutated, the assumption is that it's deeply reactive. So the fallback value should be proxified so that it's also deeply reactive. So this is good. It's more like natural thinking in this way. So very cool. Scroll is smooth, and that's it actually. So we don't have any more release for Svelte 5. We don't have any release for Svelte Kit, and I know for a fact that we have a new version of the extension, so feel free to update your extension. There are a couple of bug fixes about small things, but there's also vit config is only resolved once during lazy init of vit preprocess. I actually witnessed this being discovered on Discord, because there was this guy that was, I don't know if it was doing something funky, or, but I mean, in general, he was trying to run Svelte check inside a pre-commit hook, and it was taking a lot of time because it was basically continuously resolving the vit preprocess, like the vit config. And this means that basically like it was very slowing down, and now it's being fixed. There's also upgrade ESLint to v9 for create Svelte. There is a new version of ESLint, which actually changed quite a lot. Like the configuration is a bit different. Not every plugin is actually usable, but there is a compatibility layer. But it's pretty cool. So upgrade to v9 if you want. They are still working on enhanced image. So use the correct type for enhanced import. Very cool. There is this. It's always very funny because there is this package at Vercel/NFT, which is not what you're thinking about. And this is like the extension. So now there are new features. First thing first, like you can have white space in snippet declaration. This was actually a bug that basically, if you had white space between the declaration of the snippet types, it was not recognizing the type, and this was fixed. This is actually something that was there is this guy that asked in Discord. He wanted to do something like this. I can show you the code. Something like okay, we can actually see the discussion on Discord maybe. So yeah, he wanted to do something like this: amount equal bindable 0 as number instead of typing the proper number, which is not something that I recommend, but it's valid TypeScript. So it's actually something that has been fixed in the extension, and now you can do it. Force correct semantic tone for props. This is also something that is very cool because if you might have noticed it if you use Svelte 5 that until now, if you typed the props with an actual type, so correctly, like with the colon and the props, the syntax, like the syntax highlighting was missing, like it was all green, and now it's actually working. So it's cool. And this is the component/class function interop that we also saw on the Svelte code base. So yeah, pretty cool things. And I think there's also don't debounce document symbol requests. These are new fixes. And yeah, this was also something that I looked into it and I was pretty hyped about. There is a syntax highlight for Svelte code block in MDX. So if you are inside an MDX file and you have this Svelte extension, you can actually see you can write backtick Svelte, and you will get syntax highlighting there. Very cool. Also, I think a new version of the Svelte dev tools, which is cool. If you didn't know about it, there is a Svelte extension for Chrome and for Firefox. Feel free to use it. Infix filter to base name, Vite plugin Svelte. This is for 4.0.0 next. Update peer on workspace, ensure Vite config is only resolved once. This is again to pair the other release. Disable HMR when Vite config server SMR is false. The Vite plugin inspector also got a new release, but is mainly updating dependency and stuff like that. So yeah, that was the changelog, and so I hope you enjoyed it. And now I will actually. Oh, it was there the whole time. Sorry. So you may already see that there is a small face below me, which is Hugo, because it's time for the community showcase. So I will actually remove my screen. I will unmute Hugo and present to you Hugo. Hugos, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, my actual name is Hugo, but both work.
Okay, Hugo. Okay, so it's fine, Hugo. Because he's here to present his new fatigue. He's here to present his new library. You might already guessed it because it's in the title of the of the video. But yeah, it's called Floating UI for Svelte. So I will actually share your screen, Hugo. So if you want to move to the code, and I will share your screen. I will leave the stage for you. And in the meantime, in YouTube, if you have any question about this, feel free to drop them, because after his presentation, obviously, he will stick around for the Q&A.
Oh. All right, so I'm here to present Floating UI Svelte. This is the new library coming to the Svelte ecosystem. What is Floating UI? It is a JavaScript library to position floating elements and create interactions between them. So as you can see, there is a popover here, and there's a whole bunch of types of way to position elements relative to the reference element. This is great, but the library is very low level. It's very good at one thing. It's a DOM package, and it's very low level, as I said. There's a React port, but obviously we're not in React land, and there's sadly no Svelte port. So yeah, that's what we're here to create. This is the doc site for Floating UI Svelte. It's still work in progress. Feel free to visit it. Feel free to say if anything is wrong, but we're still working on it. Yeah, it falls under the Skeleton Labs umbrella, which means I'm a contributor to Skeleton. And while we were working on our new version for Skeleton v3, which will be using Svelte 5, we actually noticed that there's just no great solution in Svelte for floating elements. Of course, you can use the DOM package, like I said, raw, but it's just very low level and not very intuitive to use. So we created Svelte, or Floating UI Svelte, and I'll do a small demo what this is. So we've got a component here. This is actually a SvelteKit project. It's completely, it's the empty project. And I've created a component here in the page. I'll go through step by step all the lines, and then I'll show you what the result is. So we actually import a bunch of stuff from Floating UI Svelte. I'll go over it in a bit. It's a lot, but don't worry. It'll all be clear in a bit. We start with the open state, which uses the new state rune. Then we have an arrow element, which will be the little arrow for tooltips. And then we have the main floating hook. What this hook does is basically it compiles, or not compiles, it puts a bunch of logic together under the hood for you, which you can interface with using the floating object. The first option is while elements mounted. This means while both this is the reference element, and while the floating element is bound, it will automatically update the position every time the screen changes size, you scroll, anything that could alter the position of the reference element. Then we have the open state. We return it through a getter. This means it will be reactive. So when the open state here changes, the use floating hook can react to this. We have a on-open change callback, which is React-like. We do try to keep one-to-one parity with React. So that's why this is on open change. We could have done a setter, but the open change actually returns the event as well as the reason. So yeah, open change reason. So we had to use a callback instead. Then we have the placement. Should be pretty straightforward. We've got a lot of options for the type safe. As you can see, there's a bottom, a left, a right, and a top. And there's all these options in between those. These are logical properties. So if you go from a language that's left to right and you go to right to left, it will actually flip the tooltip as well, which is, in my opinion, a great feature. We'll keep it at the top for now because we're trying to demo a tooltip. We've got the middleware, also in a getter to make sure it's reactive, since we have the arrow element referenced, which is a bit of state. I won't go into this middleware deeply, but if you want to view all the middleware, Floating UI does a great job of documenting this. I'll actually zoom it a bit in, might be a little bit more clear to see. Yeah, I'm actually on the React version. I'll switch to the core, so it's actually from the correct package. These are all ways to add features to the Floating UI. Like, for example, you can see here, it will flip the floating element automatically when it goes off screen, which is, it's insane how hard it is to do manually. It's a lot of math, a lot of JavaScript, stuff you just don't want to do. Yeah, that's the middleware. Then we've got the interactions. This is where the stuff that you really want to actually come from. This is stuff we ported from React. The use role hook ensures the correct accessibility roles are applied, as well as ARIA props like ARIA expanded, ARIA has popover, and handling old IDs. There's a bunch of stuff you need to worry about. Maybe you don't. Not everybody cares about accessibility, but we certainly do. So yeah, you can use that role hook to create the role. We have the hover hook, which makes sense because there's a tooltip. You want to hover. There's a bunch of options. I'm not going to go through everything, but again, the docs, you can use them to see what options are available. We have the dismiss hook, which means on escape or click outside, it will close the floating element, which is great for tooltip. You don't want to keep it open. And then we've got the interaction hooks. This hook is kind of special. It takes an array of other hooks and combines them. Because if the role returns a, or maybe the hover is a more realistic example. If the hover returns a on mouse over, and so does dismiss, then they will be both returning that attribute. And attributes in HTML elements are unique. So what this use interactions hook does is they combine the event listener so they're both registered. So it does a single attribute that calls both the on mouse over and the hover and the dismiss hook. And then we've got markup. We bind the floating element to the returned. We actually do support passing the elements in directly, but this causes to have a lot of boilerplate. It's easier if you just bind to the return hook. But if you have an external reference that, I don't know, comes from somewhere else, you can pass it down in here if you wish. Then we're spreading the elements, interaction props. We apply some styles. These are just some basic styles to make it presentable. Nothing special about that. They've got the floating element, which is wrapped in an if block because we only want to show when it's opened. Again, we bind to the floating elements of floating. We apply the styles. This will ensure, or this will include the positioning, so absolute or fixed. It will include the coordinates, so top and left, and that kind of stuff. We've got the interactions for the floating props, which includes the event listers I was talking earlier about. Then we've got the floating class, which is quite important. It adds some base styles like with max content, position absolute, top 0, left 0. These are recommended by Floating UI, and so we recommend them too. You should apply them to the element by default. Yeah, we've got a little Svelte transition because we are using a Svelte if block. We can actually apply transitions just like that, and it works. We've got the content, and finally we got the arrow component, and this will actually render the arrow for you. So no need to do all the math. It is a bunch of math, but no need to worry about that. And if we go into the browser, I can show it. This is that demo. And when we hover over the element, it is nice. It's clear. It's not overflowing on the screen to the left. You can actually see that. If I show, I remove the shift middleware, you'll see that now it is overflowing, which is usually not what you want. So really easy. You add the shift middleware, and it just automatically knows to push itself to the side, so it shows. And yeah, that's the demo. I think I still want to share that it is completely open source. Wait 1 sec. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Something is happening outside. Give me 1 second. Excuse me. I'm back. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's open source. It's completely available to everyone. We really appreciate new contributors. We're actively in the Discord. As you can see, this is the Floating UI Svelte channel inside the Skeleton Discord. We're still looking for contributors. We're working very hard on it, but more help is always welcome. It's not finished yet. The use floating hooks actually finished, so you could just use that. But obviously, you want the goodies to make using it very, very easy. We upload a update video every 2 weeks in the Skeleton Discord. This will include Floating UI Svelte updates as well. And I think that's about it. That's the demo. Paolo, I think you're still muted. I'm not sure if the stream can still hear me, but
Yes, I'm
all
muted.
right.
I was talking for 10 minutes. So thank you, Hugo. Thank you. Thank you. Very exciting demo. And what I was saying is that like we talked a bit about this before, but I think it's kind of crazy that we went this far, like since the beginning of the World Wide Web, without a proper solution for UIs like this. Because at the end of the day, like almost every website needs something like this, which
Mhm.
is tooltip, or but even like we are starting to see the browsers being interested in stuff like this, like with the popover API, with
Yep.
the dialogue element and stuff like that. And I was talking again before with Hugo, because obviously like these APIs from the browser are very powerful, and a lot of people are excited about, but still like there's still obviously something missing. Like that's very good for progressive enhancement, but there's still something missing. For example, we've seen like all those middlewares that you were showing, which allow you to have very fine-grained control over your
Yep.
pop-up, right?
Mhm.
So very, very cool that things like these are popping out inside the Svelte ecosystem, because again, it's very easy to make it like it's easy to build this kind of stuff, and also with these libraries, and you probably will need something like this in your project. So yeah, thank you for for presenting, and thank you for creating this library.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, Hugo, I will remove you. So you like feel free
Yeah,
to answer in chat if someone has some question,
for sure.
and if you want to like join back in, like just ask me and I will drop you in again.
Sure. Sounds
Um, sorry, I muted you before, like giving you the possibility to talk.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, bye bye, Hugo. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, let's move to the next part, because we now have the next part, which is actually a Q&A. So the Q&A that we want to tackle this. So first thing first, like there is a question which is, where can I find this nicely formatted changelog? And this was actually a contribution from one member of Svelte community, and it's here, svelte-changelog-vercel.app, because previously we were literally going over GitHub, and he said, you know what, I want to help you, and he actually helped us very much, because this is very cool, and it's like you can see like the last week of changelog. Very cool, very cool. So I was saying that like one of the questions that often pop up in Discord is, how do I replace stores with rooms? Well, first thing first, stores are not going anywhere. So if you're using store, you can continue using your stores. But if you want to replace stores with rooms, there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of. First thing first, obviously, you cannot just export a writable. Like before, you could just export a writable, and you cannot just export a room. So you need to wrap it in some way. But one of the most requested, like most answered question is about. Let me see. Okay, is about this second bit, which you might not be aware of, but it's actually a very useful feature, and it's the start stop notifier. What this is, and I will actually show you in a brand new Svelte 5 preview URL. So if I open a brand new Svelte 5 URL, what the start stop notifier is something like this. So you can have import writable from svelte/store, and actually let's move these to its own file. So I have my store here. It's not .svelte, it's actually a .js. I have my store here, and actually, I think the StartStopNotifier is mostly used with a readable, so let's do a readable. And let's say that we have a very simple readable. Like I want to export const timer, which is a readable, and you can specify the initial thing, and then you can specify this second function. And this second function is what I was talking about, the StartStopNotifier. This function will be called the moment the first subscriber to the store subscribe to the store, and you can return a function that will clean up this function the moment the last subscriber unsubscribe. So what's all of these? Let's take a look. So let's say that we have this timer, which starts at 0. When you with the StartStopNotifier, you actually get the set function. I can't remember if it's actually the first parameter or if it's an object inside the first parameter. Yeah, should be literally the first parameter, I guess. Let me see. Sorry, yeah, it's the first parameter. So you get the set function that you can use to, and this is a preview of what I will show you in the meantime. It's a set function that you can use to set something. So let's say that I set these to 42, for example. If then I import these, so import timer from dash store, I am pretty sure I messed up with, I always do this error. I always write colon instead of semicolon. I don't know why. So I imported timer, and if I now do these, for example, show timer, and this is a store, you can see that is 42. Why is 42? Because the moment I do these, I am subscribing to the store, and the moment I subscribe to the store, this function runs, and I'm setting the value to 42. If we log something inside here, so console log, first subscriber, you can see that we actually get these. Let's say that now we have import, let checked is equal to $state false, and I just want to show this timer if checked is something. As you can see, obviously I have not yet subscribed to this store, so it's still fine, it's not running yet. If I do an input type equal checkbox and I bind value to checked, actually I should bind checked. The moment I click this, you can see first subscriber, and it's actually working. And again, let's say that I actually have another $ timer. Now I got the first subscriber once, and when I click here, it's not rerunning again. Pretty straightforward. And what you can use this for is, for example, for this timer, what I can do is I can set up something. So I can do function update timer, and I can say that I want to I want to update, which should be the second one, update. So let's do this, and I can do update old +1. So this is updating the timer, and I want to set an interval, and I'm dumb because I can actually just do it inside here. So I can just do this. This is going crazy now because I'm never cleaning up the timer. So I can do const timer is equal interval, and here I can do clear interval. So now I'm cleaning up this. I need to refresh, and this is also, I need to do 1000, otherwise it will not work. So what this does is that every time like there is the first subscriber is actually make this run. So the moment I do this, the timer goes along, and as you can see, like they are the same value. I can even do something like let's set, so when something is hide, so when the last subscriber will unsubscribe, I will reset the timer. So let's actually do something like this. Checked 2. I can have when checked is equal to checked 2, and so now I have full control over this kind of stuff. Let's actually have a HR just so that they are close together. So the moment I do this, the timer start. The moment I do this, the timer does not reset. I delete one, and now that I delete the other one, the timer will be resetted. So if I click here, oh, it's not actually resetting. Okay, it's fine. I don't know why it's not resetting, but this should clear the interval. So let me see, console log, clearing. Let me see. So if I open this, I open this, I close this, and I close this. Why is not being called? Oh, I think maybe. Yeah, I don't think like I think I need to literally destruct the component for the subscription to clear. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it will clear. So if I move all of these inside another component, timers, and here I import timer from timers.svelte. And I have this checked here, and I actually do timer here. Let me remove this and this. Now, the moment I open these, I have these, and now I have control over the various checkbox. And if I remove all of these and I remove these, now it's clearing up my subscription. And now if I open the timer again, it will be 0. Yeah. Okay, so this was just a brief exploration of how it worked with stores. So this is the StartStopNotifier. And the interesting bit is that, again, you are actually running this function only once when the first subscriber subscribe, and then you're running the clear whenever the last subscriber unsubscribes. So this readable store basically will only be active as soon as there is someone listening to it, which is interesting, but it's a bit difficult to do with runes. I mean, it's not very difficult, but they had to add a new rune to actually make it work a lot of time ago, but it's not common knowledge too. So I have this example from Karim, which shared this example with us. And as you can see, there is this start and stop here. So let me refresh for good reason. So the example is very similar. So there is the timer.svelte.js, because remember, you need to use .svelte.js to actually use it, use runes inside a function. Now there is the show, which is, again, just to show and close the thing. Karim has also been more accessible than me by putting a label to the checkbox. and it's creating a timer, and if show is actually like reading the value for the first time. So if we go and see the timer, it's actually very similar to what we had before. We have the readable with a 0, we'll start with a 0, then it has the update function here, and is also making sure like the type of window is not undefined, so that on the server will not be run. And if we are on the client, it will log start. It will start this interval that will update the value to the current value +1 every millisecond, every 1000 millisecond. And after every subscriber finished unsubscriber, will clear the interval. So as you can see, it will start and it will close. So that's the first slight difference that you will notice. The subscription is more fine-grained here. Before, with the store, you had the whole component subscribing to the store as soon as it was shown, but the moment you hide the interval, like the showing of the interval, this was not cleared yet. So yeah, that's one thing to notice. Like in this case, is not resetting, and there's also and this is the like how you can make your readable with the StartStopNotifier. So it's a simple function that takes an initial value and the StartStopNotifier. It uses this value to create state. So this is state, and then it has a count of subscribers, which is 0 for the moment, and then this is the stop function. And whenever you read the value, you're actually accessing a getter, and here you can use this effect.active rune, and this rune will actually be true only if you are using this function inside, if you're calling this function inside an effect or inside the template, because at the end of the day, the template is an effect, or inside a derived. So if you are inside an effect, you can create a new effect, and basically this will check that if subscribers ++ is equal to 0, so if subscriber is currently 0, but I'm also increasing the amount of subscribers, because if you are calling this function will means that you will be a new subscriber. I'm calling the start function, passing the update function that will update the value, and I am collecting your stop function. And after, like, this is the return value of the effect. And inside here, what I will do is I will call tick to await, like, this basically allows Svelte to like clear up every bit of the DOM that is like after these, the DOM has been updated by Svelte. And after the tick, I will lower the number of subscribers and check if the number of subscribers is equal to 0. So in this case, I'm doing the opposite of these. So I am first lowering the number of subscribers and then checking that is equal to 0. And if that's true, I will call the stop function and set the stop function to null, so that basically everything has been resetted. And in this get value, so I am still inside this get value. At the end, I will also return the value, because it's important to return the value. So this is basically all it takes to actually create the StartStopNotifier. It's a bit like you need to think about it, but at the end of the day, like, it's just normal code, basically. Like, this was the same code that was run inside the readable store in Svelte, and you're just writing it inside a custom function to actually create your own readable function. So This I think is very interesting. And by the way, this was asked enough time that this very thing is pinned inside the Svelte 5 RC channel inside Discord, which by the way, I still invite you to join because again, it's very cool. There's a bunch of discussions. You can probably find Hugo arguing about Svelte 5 in the Svelte 5 RC channel, and sometimes I might yell at you that you don't need an effect if you join. So yep, feel free to join, and you can go to svelte.dev/chat. Sorry, I kind of it's something is some word. But yep, this is how you build your own start-stop notifier. And let me see, because I think there are some discussion in the chat. At work, we have an old Ember app. We are trying to update to newest version, but I'm considering to migrate to Svelte. Do we have any success story or some recommendation on how to approach this? My co-workers will hate me because one of my colleagues is actually one of the main maintainers of Ember. But yeah, I think the point is like Ember is actually quite similar to Svelte. I have to admit, I didn't know about it, but it's actually quite similar to Svelte, and they are making a lot of progress. So they are currently making a lot of progress. Obviously, like I still think Svelte is better. So if I think the main reason, like the real like top of the point, like the point that you can use to convince your management that maybe like changing to Svelte can be worth, is, in my opinion, the fact like the winning of Svelte is the fact that it's a compiler. And at the end of the day, this is very, very important, because for how Svelte is structured, the moment, for example, signals comes to the browser, Svelte can just adopt signals without changing anything, basically. So it's very, very cool. You can get the latest information about this. And also, Svelte also has a very good story regarding the meta framework. SvelteKit, I think, is one of the best, actually, like, is the best meta framework, in my opinion, obviously, but also I think is one of the more thoughtful piece of software that I ever see. Like everything, like speaking about the file name that starts with a plus so that you can find it very easily, is something that really shows you that maintainers really care about everything. Like they want to make your experience the best possible. And a happy developer also means like fewer bug, and also that's the last point that you can talk about. You have to consider that like the moment you want to hire for Svelte, it's very easy because it's very close to HTML. So you don't need to do anything fancy. Like you can just take an HTML, CSS, and JavaScript developer, and in probably a week or so, they will be fully ready to work on your code base. So that's something important. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The only thing maybe we will miss is something like Ember data. Honestly, I cannot help you on that because again, my coworkers are working in Ember, but I am not actually an Ember expert. So, yep, what Captain Coleman is saying is good. Like, try to make a quick prototype. It will probably not take you that much, and you can really show the difference. So, yep. And let us know, because I crave people like switching to Svelte in their job environment, and I'm starting to see this trend about a lot of people wanting to move to Svelte during their day-to-day job. So yeah, pretty cool. So, as usual, like 50 minutes has passed, and I don't know how we get this long. I hope you don't mind that we take this long, but yep, that was our today installment of This Week in Svelte. Let me remove my screen so you can see my big face. That will thank you for joining us. Thank you for chatting with us. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed your This Week in Svelte, and I hope I'll see you again next week. Bye.